So we'd like to call the meeting to order. It is August 8th. This is the BSD board meeting for August. Right up front, I'd like to make a couple changes to the agenda, please. I'm hoping to have a motion to do the following things. To move item number 3 into executive session. To add a committee report to item 8, that being the facilities committee. And I guess that's it. It's just those two. So if I could have a motion to that end, please.
You might want to move number 3 to the end rather than do the executive session in the middle of the meeting.
That's yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be it. To move item 3 to the end of the meeting to executive session, as well as add that committee report, please. Can I have a motion to that effect, please? So moved. Thank you, Dan. Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You're good. Motion carries. So we'll do those things. Okay, so we'll start with citizens' comments, please.
Me.
Lori Mulhern, please.
Big surprise. Hi, everyone. Long time no see. Couple of things. Most recently, the latest change in location, date, time of the BSD meeting. Last minute. I don't understand a little bit about why it wasn't changed sooner, because we knew the buildings weren't going to be available. So I just wanted to point out that that is a problem for those of us who expect to go on a Wednesday night, and then all of a sudden it's a Tuesday and it's not there, it's here, and you know, just the basics, okay? The other thing, again, Mr. Colquhoun pointed out before the meeting actually started that, you know, there were 9 noms added to the agenda, and it's an amended agenda because we all got the amended version. And that too, along with like a facility document and the noms, 9 noms, and the public has not seen them. You have not seen them because, as Mr. Colquhoun pointed out, they weren't available. So I'm concerned that we make these decisions to vote on them, and yet no one has had a minute to look at them because they're only available as they get passed around this evening. So that's a problem for me too, because I'm still awaiting documents that I requested back in May at another meeting. And how are we, as a member of the public, supposed to get these documents if they're not going to be loaded to the website? And there's not enough copies to be distributed at meetings, and you don't even get a copy till you show up. So if I don't show up, how do I know they even exist? And that's an issue. The other issue is the concern about the buildings that are being renovated right now. I have had a lot of concerns about the, you know, air quality and safety of these buildings before now, which I believe that Mr. Colquhoun is aware of. And I want to bring light to the fact that, you know, here, what I find really surprising is in this facility report, how we cannot know that lights were not grounded. And that is a safety code violation. That's an electrical code violation. So let's say fire was to start and it was because of the lights. We may not get that insurance coverage because we didn't ensure that they were properly installed. Again, these things, finding asbestos, radon, CO2. I know that there's a big project going on to fix a lot of these issues, but what kind of reassurance can I as a parent have that my child is safe to be in these buildings? And that's a concern that I'm expressing to you, because as more and more of these issues come up, for me as a parent, I want to make sure that the air my child's breathing has sufficient oxygen to keep them awake in the afternoon, that he's not exposed or she is not exposed to any kind of particulates, that, you know, unknowingly the staff may disturb something and they don't know that there's asbestos in the building. So all of these issues are a concern of mine. And I'm very concerned that we did not know. And I'm kind of puzzled how that's possible, being a school system, having such an awesome facilities manager and team, that we missed this. And hold on, there's just one other thing. Sorry to take up your time, but you know, as I show up, when I can, I just wanted to get them out there. The other thing is to the communication. If I have requested something and I'm communicating, say, with the superintendent, or I'm communicating with the board chair, to try and get a piece of information, and it doesn't come. Nobody's responding. What is a family member, a parent, resident, taxpayer supposed to do? It's been suggested by Jackie Kelly that we go to the state in a prior meeting. I don't think that's where I need to go. But do I have to come back continuously, meeting after meeting after meeting, to get the documentation or the information I've requested? I don't think that I should have to keep doing this. And yet, I'm still waiting. I know Mr. Coquin said he'd get noms up from the May meeting for MAU or SVSU, I forget which one it was I was at. But it happens repeatedly. This meeting, I mean, I sent you an email, Chris, and you didn't respond to it either. So it's like, and I get it, you may have reasons not to. But the thing is, if I get no communication saying that, or if there's a reason I'm being denied that information, I expect to have communication on why. So I don't know what it is, why I wouldn't be allowed to have information like noms. They're up on the web. Why can't I have a copy? Or, why can't I see that? Or if it's, there was I believe the HR manager was supposed to create a personnel report. I'm concerned about the resignation letters, even the tone of the ones that are attached to this meeting. They're very blunt. They're 2 sentences long. This sends me a signal that maybe something's going on. And I still don't see any documentation on it. So please help me understand why I can't get information I'm asking for. Because nobody's saying I can't have it. Nobody's just communicating.
Thanks. So I'll just note, Lori, this is not the time for a back and forth because it's just
Right,
citizens'
I get
comments. But if you're able to stick around after the meeting, let you and I talk it before you leave, if you can. If not, let's connect this week. Fair enough.
Because I just
Regarding
want
what
to
you
know
asked.
what the process is.
Sure.
I know who I go to next.
Right. Any other citizens' comments? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Lawrence. Moving on to number 2, finances and facilities. So there were treasurer's reports attached for May and June. July has not yet been generated, again, because we're meeting at the beginning of the month.
And you have the warrants.
Then we have the warrants here, which need to go, looks like they'll circle around another time to get everyone's signatures on there. So moving on, we've moved item number 3 to executive session and now to the consent agenda. So could I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which is posted on the back of the amended agenda?
I'll move.
Thank you, Dan. Can I have a second for that, please? To approve the consent agenda for tonight?
I second it.
Thanks, Jan.
Do we need to approve the treasurer's reports?
Yes.
So we do, yes, we do. Thank you very much. So before we get too far afield, let's wrap with the consent agenda, then we'll return to item number 2. So we have a first and a second. Any discussion about approving the consent agenda? Secretary?
The additions. I mean, we talked about this numerous times, and we really shouldn't be voting on something we haven't seen. Were these just hired this week?
Some of them is
I
today.
can speak to that, to 3 of them, and I don't mind.
No,
Yeah.
I understand. We're in a crunch. School's
Right.
gonna start in 3 weeks.
With the board having monthly meetings, and I say this as a former superintendent, that you always run the risk of losing a promising candidate to another district that meets more frequently or happens to have their meeting scheduled prior to the regularly scheduled meeting of BSD. The process itself, one of the many things that I appreciate that this district does is it recognizes a person's interest in pursuing a position elsewhere. And we recently had a resignation and released the person from their contract. That is not entirely common in Vermont. In the year I've been here, there have been 2 people that we wanted to hire, and their district would not release them from the contract. One held us up for 2 months before finally saying no. As a result of the timing, the scheduling, and the lengthy process of posting an opening, so that one of the resignations you're looking at this evening, Catherine Keenan, when she resigned, that precipitated a couple of moves. An internal move that someone wanted to go to kindergarten, which created another posting. So we post the positions, we give people sufficient time to apply, We then convene a committee, review their application materials, interview, and then check for references. So given that Catherine only recently resigned, we were hard-pressed to even come up with her replacement today and do so with integrity and respect for the process. So I am guilty of 3 of those noms coming in on short order, hoping that one of the reasons I was hired here, because you have entrusted me with the burden of responsibility of not only hiring, but supervising and accepting the consequences of any of those hires. So I don't propose those this evening to usurp the responsibilities of the board. But if we had to wait for your next board meeting, well, that's after school starts, and you would be convening another special meeting and subjecting yourselves to people's concerns about the date.
I understand all
Yeah.
that. Did you just hire him today?
Yes, we processed
Okay.
9
That's,
nomination forms today through
that's the answer
HR.
I wanted, because if you'd done it last week or something, they could have been emailed to
Yeah.
us.
So I told HR today that I would take the responsibility of walking them into the meeting and explain that to the board, because I received 9 nomination forms processed today.
And I would simply add that one of the things that I appreciate about the way the nomination forms are put out is it lists exactly who has interviewed these people.
Yes.
So in addition to just trusting our 3 building principals, we know exactly who's been at the table, who's met with these candidates, who's chosen these candidates, and which just gives me an added layer of confidence in the decision that was made. So I'm also
Agree.
But if you go back through the minutes, I think it was either May or June, I thought we had said, because this happens every year, we said that Jim has the burden of this. And, and HR has the burden of hiring, rather than wait until August to hire, because it's a really late time. And I thought we had this discussion in
And we said that the
then.
chair and
Yes.
vice chair could sign off on that, on
Yes.
those nominations.
Yes.
And that's probably what might happen next week or the week after with other open positions that are still in the process of being filled.
Yes, I remember the conversation.
So any further discussion about approving the consent agenda? So we had our first and second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Very good. So motion carries.
I have a question about, I'm not about approving them.
All right.
Will they be criminal record checked before?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so returning to...
That's all in process. So
Okay,
So we get a quick one from...
I know, and
that,
it's
then
pretty damn,
Yeah.
pretty good.
As far as the fingerprint one, I was thinking, and that's all going to be dependent on how quickly the state processes, and again, this is crunch time for them too.
Returning to item number 2, so could I have a motion, please, to accept the treasurer's reports from May and from June, please?
So moved.
Thanks.
Second.
Take Dr. Kelly as a second. Any discussion, further discussion? Great. All those in favor of approving the treasurer's reports, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. So theirs are approved as well. All right, moving on to item number 5, educational matters. We have all 3 building principals here this evening. Thank you very much. And Donna Colley, you're first, so please.
Okay, thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. All of a sudden, August is here, and we're ready. Our parent letters are out, and we're pleased our packets were completed. We are prepping. We're eager to get back in our building and waiting for the okay. We've had staff members email and say, any news, any updates, so they are also eager to start the new year. Our plans are set, our opening night is set. Welcome back to parents. Our professional learning days, our agenda is set, so we're excited about that too. Lots going on, and we're just ready for the key and the fob to work. Welcome the children.
Great, thank you. Edie Dunn, you're next.
Oh, well, I have to tell you all that I've been so welcomed here. I can't even begin to tell you.
I wanted to start by saying welcome to your first meeting.
It's been wonderful sharing space at Bennington L with, we're in the music room, and Donna and her secretary are in the art room, and Mike's right up the street, so I've been able to really, confer with my colleagues, which has helped a lot. I have to say that this is one of the busiest districts for hiring that I have ever experienced, so I can appreciate your concern over there. And I will tell you that for one of the positions at Bennington, started working with the team even before I came here in June, and we are just now finding the candidates. So it is a very long process, especially for when you're owning. I've had a wonderful time working with Carol, my great secretary. She did a walkabout with me in town. My plan was to try to connect with the school lunch sites and see if I could connect with families. And it's pretty quiet out there. We did get to the library, got myself a library card, met, I think, Nancy is the head librarian, and got to visit the children's section, found the rec center. This town has amazing facilities for families. I'm really appreciating that. In terms of the educational matters, I'm learning. I've been connecting a lot with both central office folks, going to all of those meetings. Laura has really helped me a lot with understanding where the curriculums are on the website, and that's going to be very important in working with the new staff that come on board, because they're going to say, where's the curriculum? So I need to know it first. The other piece is kind of planning out how we're going to use the facilities. We've got some renovations, some not new programs, but some new spaces that we have to consider. So I'm working with Paul, who's one of the associate special ed directors, and Jerry O'Connor, and we're going to have that all planned out before staff come. I can reiterate what Donna Cawley said, and that is staff are really anxious to know when can we get in the building, and we just say, fear not, you will be in the building, but we can't tell you yet. So I've been in touch with staff back and forth who have helped me hire, and like Donna and Mike, continue to send the correspondence out throughout the summer. So still a little bit of a ways to go, but I feel ready, like Donna does, to kick off the year. Any particular questions I can answer, be sure to ask.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you. And Michael Regis.
Thank you. There are a few things that I enjoy more in my position than to extend an offer for someone to not only start work at Bennington, but in some cases begin their career. Now, that said, then we respond to their excitement by saying, but you can't get into your room to get it ready, but no one else can either. And I want to comment on that. I went over to Molly Stark today, down my hard hat, and went in, what I've been impressed with is, with everything going on, Jerry Prue's department is addressing things, augmenting the renovation, and really at Molly Stark, because of moves we have within the building to use our space more effectively as a result of our shared decision-making group, which is comprised of parents and staff members from all work groups. We're using our space more efficiently and creating a master schedule that's more effective in driving instruction. But Jerry's crew has really made those moves and address some issues in the art room, and all of this in the midst of the renovation project. So I really appreciate everything that they've done. They have consulted with me on meeting our needs, and they've been extremely responsive. So thank you, Jerry, and your department. And I also want to thank the early ed, because that's where I'm, my summer office. That sounds pretty fancy. I have a summer office. And
With a view.
With a view, and I dare say that one of the nicest things is not only to get to know the staff there more, but because it's for an early ed program, the chairs are shorter, and it doesn't make me feel so short. So they have been very accommodating, because Kim Tenner and Sandy Mitchell, our secretary, and myself moving into pretty small quarters and we're grateful of that. I have enjoyed maybe just the proximity and a little bit of the freedom of the flexibility of the schedule this summer to meet with both Donna and Edie and work on collaborating and coordinating common interests to ensure that it's seamless in terms of protocol and different practices will be among the three schools. I've been meeting with Seth Gabriel of the Tennis Center because Molly Starks received a grant from the United States Tennis Association that will be supporting an expansion of our after-school program where we offer tennis lessons. So we expect to double the opportunities, and those learners who participate in the program have received free rackets in the past, and now they'll have an opportunity for free tennis shoes as well. The grant will allow us to repair and seal the tennis courts behind the elementary school, put nets in, and resize the courts so that instead of having adult-sized courts, we would be able to increase the number, make them smaller and more appropriate for kids. So we're hoping that we can see Molly Stark graduates populating the championship tennis team at Mount Anthony. And also the Tennis Center has agreed to be our evacuation site. And it lends itself very well to that because of the 3 full-size tennis courts with 6 grades K through 5. Each grade has their own side, and then there's a smaller court for early ed and NEC. So in terms of housing everyone in the event of evacuation, stage 3 evacuation, is very orderly and organized, and they have been very helpful. They've been great neighbors to us.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, the three of you, for that. Moving on to item number 6. So we have 2 policies to warn. The first is number 3100, transportation. If I could have a motion to warn that, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Jackie. I could have a second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Chayla. Any discussion on?
I just have one question. What's the walking distance for BSD students? It says in the policy that the superintendent will set or his designee will set the walking distance for students in each district. And I was just curious, it's a curiosity thing, that's all.
Yeah. I don't want to misquote a number here, but my understanding, we try to keep it under a mile that somebody would walk, but I can get back to you on what we exactly are following on that. Yeah.
I know that we, long time ago, we decided that we'd pick up all kindergartners because we didn't want them to walk.
Yeah, we do that.
And I know
door to door.
Special circumstances where we pick up other kids that wouldn't be safe walking. I was just curious, that's all. I remember how far I had to walk.
6 miles uphill in a snowstorm story.
Both ways. Piggybacking on that question, how about the walkway from Applegate down to Molly?
I think your board member Dan Monks might be able to answer that better than me.
I was just speaking with Jim earlier today. In fact, we just received comments to the final plans for the project, which means the next step is contract plans. So we expect to have that out to bid probably within the next 45 to 60 days. It'll be a winter build, which is what they prefer because it doesn't involve a lot of wetlands. So we're on track to be on time with that construction in the winter.
And so, then I'm going to ask the next question, would that eliminate some buses in the future? Because
Well,
right
if you remember
now,
the time that we said that we would give money to that, we didn't think that it would eliminate a bus. It might going forward, but we don't feel that it would, for how many students are still going to be eligible for a ride, and the bus is still goes by there. If I remember, we're talking over a year ago now, so I don't really remember exactly, but I know at the time we said it would not immediately eliminate a bus the way routes are currently designed, and the bus that's going by there and is coming with students already on it from another location.
Yeah, it goes across Tolton Lane and then down over.
All right, so we had a motion that was made and seconded to warn the transportation policy. So any further discussion? Great, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Then we have another policy to warn, number 4327, the Family and Medical Leave Act. I have a motion to warn that policy, please.
Yes.
Thank you. I heard a second from Shayla. Any discussion on 4327? Hearing none, could all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great. Any opposed? Fantastic. Moving on to item number 7, the superintendent's reports.
So the first thing that's probably on everybody's mind, and we heard it from public comments, and board members will probably hear it in the facilities committee meeting, is what's going to happen with our schools, and are we ready to open first day of school as scheduled? Mike Davies from EEI, those who don't know him, he is the engineer that we deal with. I told him that I needed by August 1st a commitment from him on whether we'd be able to open school. I actually bumped it up until this week. We had a discussion yesterday. And what he tells me is, how he would phrase it, is everything is currently on schedule. His concerns are more with Molly Stark because of how much ductwork and piping there compared to some of the other 2 buildings. But at this time, he sees no reason that we will not be done, the project will not be done on time. What will be done to open school? We know that, all the boiler work will not be done. They told us that, but that commitment is by heating season. And why is this a major concern for me is the contract being done is not the end of it. Buildings need to be cleaned, sanitized, and teachers need to be given time to set up their classrooms. So at this time, I still think that we can do that, but as I mentioned to you back when this started, it is possible that school could be starting 5 days late. I hope to give parents as much notification if that has to happen. Because it's not just the Bennington School District that I'm dealing with. I know that that's your primary concern, but we also have a construction project going on in Shaftesbury, which has run into some snags and will not be completed, and basically going to be putting ceilings back, and project will have to be completed next summer. We know now that that will not be done in time, so it's going to be halted. So they're looking at a possible late start of school too. As a reminder, everyone, we schedule 185 days of school. 180 days is what we go, and we have 5 snow days. Vermont law is 175. So just as we ended school 5 days early for BSD, we have the option of starting 5 days late and still not have to alter vacations. I mean, that's the worst case scenario that we'd be looking at, is if we even needed more than 5 days, and then we'd be looking at possibly canceling a vacation, which is never a popular thing. And since we don't know how many snow days we're going to use this year, I certainly don't want to add to the end of the calendar at this time. So we'll monitor it. I have another meeting with Mike on Thursday, and then again next Thursday he's in town on Thursday. So if anything changes in that, you'll be the first to know, and some of you might actually know it before me. So
What is the target date?
we want a week before school opens so that we have time to clean.
And that date is
The 28th.
28th. 28th of August?
Yes.
Yep.
And that's primarily for the teachers to begin?
And cleaning.
Yeah, but we know that our professional development with the teachers is not going to be in those buildings. We don't believe that's going to happen. They might have to do that somewhere else, or we will be releasing them from some of that professional development so that they can spend time setting up their classrooms. So it really is fluid right now. Of course, I'm nervous about it, but we knew it was going to be tight, so we're going to continue. We monitor it weekly and see where we are. So one of the things that we're doing this summer, today was a professional learning day for our administrators. We gathered them all at Mount Anthony Country Club for a luncheon, but the morning was a work session. topics that we did with our administration. We actually had 24 people there. The first was, and I want to thank our HR department. As you know, or may be aware, our director of HR is out on a medical, and we have an acting, Nick Gott, who some of you know from negotiations. He was our human resource manager. He is now our acting human resource director. So today he organized a presentation this morning along with Laurie Linger on investigating employee misconduct. One of my goals is to make sure that all our administrators are on the same page when this happens, and we're developing template letters for how to document. And as some of you who have been here longer than me know, that has been an issue sometimes, particularly documentation. It's tough. This is what I tell people. Principals, administrators are educators. We're trained to be educators. We're not necessarily trained in being managers. It's the rare administrator that you would find with an MBA or a degree in human resources. They're more likely in education. So a lot of the professional learning that I've been bringing to our administrators deals on those issues. Last year we had our attorneys do workshops for the administrators, and this year HR is doing it. So that was one of the topics, and the other was an overview of employee benefits, particularly time off benefit reviews. It is a challenge for us sometimes to get enough substitutes in our buildings, particularly at certain times of the year. And so the review included what type of benefits, personal days, sick days, and vacation days for those employees that are year-round to get it, to help our administrators in their management of the staff in their building. So, and that will continue on. And we also had a presentation by Laura Boudreau on continuous improvement plans, which is just about there for us. Also been working on, along with Vic Milani, school safety plans. He will present the first of the school safety plans next week at the MAU meeting. I hope that he will be presenting the school safety plan for the Bennington School District. He has met with each principal individually this summer, and should have that for your September meeting. No later than your October meeting, you will have a presentation on this school safety plan specifically designed for each of your schools. And I would say that concludes my report, other than, as you heard earlier, it's a hectic hiring season, and it might sound like a lot of people to you, and you say, like, does this have a particularly high turnover rate, which is data that I'm requesting from HR, but I also remind you that we are the 4th or 5th largest district, school district in the state of Vermont. There's 800 and last count, 825, 830 positions in all our school districts, counting part-timers, and the full-time equivalent is closer to 680. So even if 5% of 5% turnover rate, that's a lot of people. So, okay.
So just two quick questions, Jim. When you say you're looking for data around turnover rates, are you saying in comparison to the rest of the state, or how do you mean you're asking for data?
Well, again, some who have been here a little bit longer, we tried to do exit surveys, and we can't really force people to come in and do it. We do an online version. We do that to try and track and see reasons that people might be leaving, turning over. We hear the stories that, this is a great place to start, get your 3 years in, and then cross the border to New York. No offense, Mike. And because they won't hire somebody without experience, so come here and get our training. I don't have anecdotal information, and that's what I want from HR. I want actual data that shows me, can we track where they've gone, and we're not quite there yet. So that's, with the exit surveys alone, the participation rate was not what I would consider a valid sample size to make any conclusions about turnover.
Okay. The other question is, what times of year are more difficult to find substitutes?
All year long.
Yeah.
All year on Mondays and Fridays, in particular, in the latter stages of the school year.
Is that right?
We had, you can ask the printer, and it wasn't just BSD, but the last month of school this year seemed extremely high rates of absenteeism. I don't know if it was the longer school year, the 7 snow days, personal days, and this is one of the things that we're reminded of the principals today. There are restrictions on our contracted employees, so they cannot take a personal day before a vacation, before a holiday, or after a holiday or vacation. And teachers cannot take a personal day during the last 2 weeks of school. Now, it's not because we don't want to extend their vacation and we want to, you know, everyone says, well, that Friday before the February vacation, airfare's a lot cheaper when I'm going to Florida. I understand that, but it's also the worst possible day to put a substitute in a building. And that's why those restrictions are there. We've tried in negotiations to get that restriction in the first 2 weeks of school. You know, negotiations is subject to give and take, so we haven't been successful in that. We've also, you know, we would like more progress in how to manage, you know, maybe a reward system. That was one of the things that was discussed with principals today, a way of maybe buying back unused personal days to encourage, tied to attendance, the use of sick days to encourage that. But by and large, attendance of our staff is excellent. And that's why, you know, when I'm talking anecdotally and not with the data in front of me, I don't want to paint the picture that we have widespread absenteeism, and that's so I get individual reports right now. We're at that capability that someone puts in a request for a personal day, HR can give me an individual report so I can see what that person is used. Going back a number of years, like I can say, well, gee, Chris Murphy has requested the Friday off before Memorial Day every year for the past 6 years.
That's just like him to do.
So I'm gonna deny that to Chris. So I get that individually. I don't have a widespread spectrum yet, but HR is assuring me that we're gonna get that platform.
Jim?
Yeah.
Some of our absenteeism, well, it's not absenteeism, some of our needs for subs is based around the trainings that we pull our teachers out of the schools for. And some of us have been around for a real long time. Years ago, all professional development was done after school. And we paid the teacher a per diem rate to attend the thing. We're in the business to educate students. And I think this is my personal feeling. The board doesn't have to agree with me. We're in the business to educate students, and when we're pulling students out and putting somebody in, even if it's only for a half a day, it's disruptive to whatever's going on in that classroom that day. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And we do professional learning after school too, and we do stipend people, and we've done this summer, I think the report was that there were over 119. One of the things we did today was professional learning trivia with Laura Boudreau. And the number that I heard thrown, there was 119 individuals who took part in professional learning over the summer in 6 different course offerings. So it does go on after school, does go on during the summer. But when we're rolling out particularly a new curriculum, say like in math, and it's crucial that all the math teachers are there so they're hearing at the same time. Unfortunately, sometimes the only time we can do that, because we can't require you to come after school, can't require you to come in the summer. The only time we can do that is when we already have you under contract, and that is during the school day. So my concern about that, and what Laura has told me, that on average, no one teacher usually does more than 4 days. That's the highest that she's seen, 4 days, and not watched it. Someone's watching home and say, no, I know somebody was out 8 days. Well, but that's what they shoot for, no more than that somebody would be out of their classroom for that reason.
I just had several teachers complaining about it and paraeducators complaining about it. That's why I'm bringing it forward. And it is my opinion that professional development, if it can't happen during their your meetings, your staff meetings, then if at all possible, we roll it out in the afternoon before supper, they go home, we pay them the extra.
That was the first thing I was gonna say, is do we have the ability to offer them some sort of incentive to do it after school or in the summer? That was the first thing. Second thing is, the last time I was on the board, I had found out, and as a board, we had found out that there was a training that goes on for substitutes, as it should.
Yes.
However, there were newly retired staff that were being subjected to the exact same training as a person coming in off the street. And there were retirees who were more than qualified, they were qualified in spades, to step in as substitutes, but they were utterly insulted and verbalized it loudly, that they were insulted to have to take a training after they had just freshly retired out of the position they were going to substitute in. And we had discussed back then, this was before you were superintendent, that there was going to be some sort of a modification to the training,
Yes,
that they
there
would be
was.
fast-tracked. Did that ever happen?
I'll have to ask.
Because
Yeah.
it might
We
be
still
something
do
to
the substitute
revisit,
training, but
and
I
there
don't
should
know.
be.
I don't,
But it might be
I don't know if we
a
exempt-
conversation to revisit, because with somebody fresh off the street, they should absolutely
Mm-hmm.
have a full breadth of training.
and I could see a modification, but I would not necessarily agree with a complete elimination, because being a classroom teacher
No, I don't
versus
think it
being a
should be a
sub,
complete,
there
in
are
fact,
differences. Yeah.
with a retiree, it might be a nice opportunity to give them a truncated version as a brush-up course for
Mm-hmm. And we
maybe some
very well
PBIS
might
training
do
and
that.
things.
Yeah.
But to have a retiree not to be insulted that they couldn't step in as a substitute is kind of wild. And so it might be an idea to think about that again, if we
That's
haven't
right, we
done
did
something
talk
about that.
So Jack Kelly, just a moment, please. But Jack, for you had said that yes, there was some kind of change made. Are you aware?
No,
We
we did,
discussed it.
we
Okay.
discussed it at length,
And I can't
and several
remember.
meetings.
Okay.
It actually went on, the discussion went on for quite a while because
So-
we had had a substitute shortage.
Curriculum and HR do that jointly, so I will have to inquire whether they do it differently
Yep.
for retired
But we had been
teachers,
approached by
but-
several
And what is
retirees who
the-
were very qualified.
And what is the,
It was pretty lengthy, the training.
no, what is the guideline, like how newly retired?
Right.
You know, so I think,
They would have to
yeah,
figure
they
that
would
out,
have to figure that out.
Retired from our system, retired from somebody else's
Yeah,
system,
so what is the
retired
guideline,
from
right?
another
I'd
state.
just like to add two things. The first, piggybacking on this, is there's certain requirements, training requirements that everybody should receive every year.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
You know, medical things
Mhm.
and what to do in this case. And what was the big question last year about manhandling a kid?
Mandated
Right.
reporters.
You know,
Mandated reporting.
reporting.
But
So there's some
Keeping them
things
up on
that,
PBIS and all of that stuff. I
Right.
think there should be a brush up.
right,
I
right,
just don't
right.
think it should be as extensive as somebody fresh coming in who's never worked with kids.
Right, but you still want to put that in there. And then even if they were a teacher, say at Molly Stark, the things that go on maybe at a different district are a little bit different, you know. The rewards are different and well, everybody's
So,
different.
Let me say this, we are all in agreement that the best thing is that child's teacher in front of them every
Yes.
day,
Yes.
as often as possible. So, and that's what we're striving to do. We weren't successful in negotiations, getting some of the incentives that we thought might help curtail that we've seen work in other school systems. Doesn't mean that we're gonna stop. We signed a 2-year contract, we'll be back there
Mhm.
again, so.
Did they sign?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
The teachers signed, we have the
Paris?
contract back from Steve Stitzel today. Our attorney being reviewed by, because first they had it, they sent it to our attorney. So HR is now sent, so we hope to schedule the carousel meeting for board approval a day next week, but I don't know that I have a final document in front of me yet for as far as the teacher's contract. Paraeducators, we do not have a final document, and we still have some disagreement that we're working out.
Okay.
Do your job, Jackie.
We have a disagreement?
Say it ain't so. So moving on to item number 8, facility
We should pay
committee
him.
meetings.
Maybe not.
Meredith, am I correct in saying the food committee has not met?
Still has not met.
Meeting in September.
Jim, do you have a date for me for the September food service meeting?
So they went quarterly, correct?
I have no idea, I've never yet met
Yes,
with
that's
them.
what, Renee said at the
Renee
last
told us they were
meeting.
going to quarters, so I imagine to be in September, and let me pull up that month and see if it's listed there. I'm not seeing it scheduled yet on the master calendar, but I will get that message to Renee. I know they went quarterly, so it's not. Ag committee is the 6th, but I don't see food service on here. It might not have been scheduled yet.
Okay.
That, I think, September would be the first month of that quarter, so I would think that they'd be meeting.
Mhm.
All right, so we'll move on to facilities committee. So Jackie Free, we have the minutes from the July 27th meeting.
Yeah,
Thank you for those.
it was an excellent meeting. I want to answer a couple of Lori's issues. For the lights. The lights were there when the building was built. It would not be, we just don't go in and take down fixtures and take down everything to check to see if everything's up to code. When you buy a building, you assume, because it was a school before we bought it, that everything was in there that was up to code. This happened, and we wouldn't only know now because when his name is Carpenter, when Tim Carpenter, the electrician, was retrofitting the light for LEDs, one fell apart. But that's why we didn't know. It wasn't because we ignored the issue or anything like that. It just, you assume when you purchase something that it's, and they've been working and they've been good, so nobody, bothered with them. That's why we didn't know that they were up to code.
And they could have been code at the time that they were installed.
Yeah, they could have been.
1956.
Yeah, so, and if we had known, the minute we were told they weren't up to code, we knew we had to do something. There were several options. We chose, I think, the least costly, because I work in the electrical business, was to put brand new rather than rebuild, because of the time and all the energy that would have to be put into doing it. So we as a board met and are purchasing all new lights. As far as, we did talk about asbestos in the building, and it's between the walls, so it's not going to be, we do not feel it's an issue for students or staff. It's between two pieces of fiberglass, and for some reason, in fact, Jonathan Brush, the guy from EEI, he said he'd never seen it before.
He did.
He's never seen this before. They put this thin layer of asbestos between it.
Paper thin.
So-
piece paper is how
Yeah.
I describe it, yeah.
We had Catamount Environmentalist, our asbestos removal company, come in and remove every place where they put ductwork, and they removed beyond that as much as they could get, and an air quality sample will be done to ensure. And we do have an asbestos abatement book in every school. We have a management log that we have to fill out yearly. We have to advertise it in the paper. They have it here at central office, and there's one for each school in our district.
The removal of asbestos had to be approved by the state and the EPA. We had to file that to remove it, so.
Mm-hmm. So, the new air handlers, I think that you're gonna see a huge difference. I mean, I was impressed. They had these two boilers for this huge school, Molly Stark, in this one room where we used to have 3 boiler rooms, Jared?
Yes.
3 boiler rooms. They got these 2 boilers, and they look like little spaceships, and they're gonna heat the whole building. It's just amazing looking at some of the stuff that they did. I love at Benel. the new heating systems they've got, mounted to the ceilings. The windows, that makes the building look like a brand new building, and that's way above, ahead of schedule. I don't know, I'm impressed. We did the same thing. We asked EEI, I must have asked them 4 times, if not 5. You tell me,
I saw the
You
notes for the meeting.
you gonna be ready? School's gonna be ready? Because we're gonna figure out something. There's
And they
been,
keep saying we're on schedule.
Yes,
We're on schedule.
as of right now, we're on schedule.
and I wanna mention, I don't know the gentleman's name that works for, Mr. Prue, but he is making these, covers for the ventilator systems at Benel, and they are absolutely wonderful.
It's
They're,
Chris, excuse me, it's Chris Sherman, I'll give him.
okay, it was
He's
Chris.
an excellent carpenter.
And they're just gonna be such a nice addition to the classroom. It'll be nice to be able to put things on, and he did a really good job.
And in Molly, they're all up at the ceiling, the vents.
Yep,
They took them from down and put them up.
yep. We're amazed at what we saw, and I would like to schedule another meeting for the 17th at 1:30, because that's the best time for, Jeff
Thursdays is
Goldstone.
one, yeah.
For a facilities meeting?
Yep,
Oh, and you know the best part of the heating system? Every classroom can control their own heat.
Safety.
yep.
I know that'll be nice at Monument, because the sun really cooks on one side of the building while the other side freezes, and then the sun shifts around, and you cook on that side and freeze on the opposite side.
What would be nice for Monument?
Thermostats in each room.
Oh, yeah.
At what building? Facility meeting?
Oh, well, we'll probably meet at Jerry's office again, and then we'll go and look at, 2 of the schools again.
On the 17th?
Yes,
What time did you say, Jack?
1:30.
Oh,
I have a facility
Incident
question that I
command.
would
I
like to
had a
ask
meeting at
you
1 o'clock on
because
incident
Goldstone
training.
Architecture
I can't.
is not here.
Mm-hmm.
I think you might be able to answer. I don't think anybody spoke to it yet, but I was reading in the Goldstone Architecture, just jumping forward, in his updated paperwork. He said the propane is behind schedule. Do you have an anticipated install date on that one? Did you guys already
Propane
speak to that?
is behind schedule, is the propane tanks. The subcontractor that we had digging up the old oil tanks was behind schedule because he had some issues with staff.
Mhm.
I think he's come along pretty good. He had the one out at Benel, and is he done Monument yet?
No, it's scheduled for this week.
But the propane tanks are in at
Monument, or excuse me, at Molly Stark and at Benel, the propane tanks are in.
and
So Monument's the only one left.
And-
Yeah.
And what Mike Davies told me is he wants to make sure that we have hot running water when school starts, and the rooms are clean, because you have to have it by. But that is his goal.
Yeah.
So, because that is the
'Cause
minimum.
that's the one thing that will surely keep the schools closed.
Yeah, that's his minimum.
The 17th is Bennington Valley Day. Does that affect anything?
No,
that's the 16th.
he might have the day off.
16th and 17th. 16th? Why would it be the day before the Bennington battle?
Yeah, there will be no administrator available that day,
Okay.
because there's instant command training, that's what I just told Chris.
Can't make it.
But you don't have an issue with us meeting with the EI and Goldstone? Okay.
Just understand that we're in training that day.
No, it's fine.
Not that we don't want to come to your meeting.
I can't come.
We're,
in
okay.
person.
And
We're
Mary,
gonna
just on
visit
that
your
point
building
about-
this time.
About being behind with the propane stuff, the folks from EEI spoke about, because they are so far ahead in certain aspects of the
Mhm.
project, they didn't seem to think that would be a problem.
No,
Okay.
they don't think it's gonna
Yeah,
be a
when I
problem.
was
very
reading the
comfortable.
paperwork, it looked like it was supposed to be installed June 28th, I think the date was, and then I didn't see any update anywhere through there, so I was just curious where it was at.
No,
So
they've got the tanks removed in there.
Okay.
Yeah, all
They're
pretty
working.
confident. Great, thank you, Jackie. Let's move on to an SVSU report. So I was not present at the June SVSU meeting, but I believe Jayla and Mary, you were.
Yeah, I don't really have anything that stood out to present outside of like what you could read in the notes that are available.
pretty cut and dry.
It was pretty cut and dry. It was a
solid minute and a
Yeah.
half long.
It was not very long. It was just, the policy approvals, those kind of things. It wasn't any presentation or anything that they've been doing. So there was an Act 46 update, but that's now old compared to where we are now. So I don't, Meredith, would you agree?
It sounds all good to me.
You could read the notes online.
Very good. Which brings us to Act 46.
I'm gonna have to have Chill and Jim help me a little bit on the terms that we use, but the committee did vote to proceed to develop, I guess we're calling them articles of
Articles of
merger.
agreement.
Agreement,
Articles of agreement, and we'll be doing that, we'll be reviewing those on this
Thursday.
Thursday.
I think probably the biggest decision that was made beyond that was determining which districts were, is it essential?
Advisable.
Advisable and
Necessary.
necessary.
Necessary. So the necessary district was Bennington. All the other ones were advisable. And so that's how we're proceeding with the review of the merger documents and with the vote. So what else, Sheila, did happen at that?
No, I think we're going to review on Thursday and vote to make the determination of whether we are going to put it forth to the state. So,
Jackie was there too. Jackie, what?
Yeah, I have to make one comment. Bennington, of course, has to be advisable. You have to get
Necessary.
necessary. You
Yeah.
have to have
one.
one other school be necessary, advisable, whatever it is. I can't remember now. I think I'm getting old time. Anyways, you have to have at least one other school
Yes.
or it won't go through.
You just have to have one, not one other. You just have to have one school.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so.
One other district.
Right.
You mean besides Bennington?
Yes, so you need to have
Oh,
Shasberry,
yes, for
Pownell.
yes. Well, I thought it was 3 total. Didn't they say that we had to have 3
The
schools
majority
vote?
of what's in MAU.
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah, and we're looking, if this moves forward, I think that what we're hearing back from town clerks is the vote would be October 10th is the date I'm hearing, right? Is the town scheduling something that date too?
That may be the wastewater treatment bond vote
Yeah.
as well.
Where's Thursday's meeting? Here?
Thursday's meetings at the middle school.
Because the CDC is unavailable.
At 6.
Okay,
Right.
anything else from Act 46?
That's it.
All right, very good.
More to come for sure.
Great. So that brings us to the chair report. Not much has been happening from my end. One of the things that we had talked about back in June was arranging for a board retreat. So I've been in contact with Nicole Mace throughout the summer. She has been fantastic in returning every single one of my phone calls. I have been striving to follow her example and being as timely in my return of her phone calls. But suffice to say, we've not fully connected yet to have a full conversation about what the School Board Association can help us do. So that is a work in progress, which continues. But thanks to everyone who's been active over the course of the summer in terms of looking after the facilities and going to Act 46 and SVSU meetings, and to our building principals for doing their work as well. So I'm looking forward to a start of the year, and so looking forward to all that. So, item 10, some FYI items. All this is available on the website. We have budget status reports, we have the enrollment stuff, we have the 2 memos from Jeff Goldstone, which are great, and then some declined positions. So,
Other?
well, so we had talked at one of the previous meetings about not having an other, because what we should be doing is adding stuff to the agenda at the beginning. So, if
No, I want you to add it to the next agenda.
Oh.
add other to the next agenda?
No, add what I'm gonna bring up.
Okay. Sure. What would you like? added to
Because
the
you can
next
do
agenda?
that at a meeting. You can
Add to
have
the
an
next
item,
agenda.
next agenda.
Okay, please.
I would like to review the, policy on field trips. I think the board needs to review that. And what was the other one? That's it?
I'd like to add something
Oh,
to that.
yes, I want to know when we might, some kind of report on when we might see our results from our testing.
Meredith, did you have something you wanted to add?
I would like to discuss the lice policy at the next meeting. I had asked it to be added to the agenda tonight, however, I wasn't really prepared because,
The lice policy.
the lice policy, the communicable disease policy.
Yeah, we passed that 2 years, a year or 2 years ago.
Great. Could I please have a motion to move to executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Jackie. A second, please.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Meredith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. So we are moving into executive session.
And the reason?
open
very long
session
meeting.
again?
Can I have a second on that, please?
Second.
Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good, so we're back in open session. Could I please have a motion to offer a 3% raise to non-union?
So moved.
Thank you, Jack Kelly. And
Second.
Kayla, second it. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Any opposed? No. So the motion carries.
And that was to off-contract workers?
Yes.
Yes, 3%. Very good. So since there's nothing else on the agenda, can I please have a motion to end this meeting?
So,
Everyone's so eager. Can I have a second,
What do you
please?
want,
There's
I want to
Very
meet.
good. We'll let Richard figure out.
Well, you're leaving.
All those in
I'm
favor,
leaving,
please say aye.
I'm here
Aye.
at
Very
the
good.
incident
Thank you.
command.
Meeting's
I'm
closed.
here